Hello there, Gia.
Hello, Keisha. Hello, everybody, kind listeners.
Kind listeners. Yeah, speaking of our kind listeners, Gia, I wanted to thank all of the people that comment on our Facebook page, and you've been doing a lovely job keeping up with that, way more than I have.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
but I also like there was somebody like I love hearing like when we help people with their commute, passing the
Oh,
time
yeah,
and things
yeah.
like that. And then there was one lovely listener named Kim, and I also work with a lovely Kim who listens too. But Kim, who commented on Facebook, said she cleans an office building and listens
Oh,
to
yeah,
us while
yeah.
she's cleaning. And
That's
I thought,
perfect.
it's
That's a perfect.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that seems like that could be sort of a lonely sort of work to do. So if we can keep you company, Kim, that makes me feel much, much better.
I worked one summer. I may have mentioned this. I worked with the cleaning staff at my college. We stayed. My buddies and I wanted to party over the summer. And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, you get a, you get a job." We were living off campus. You get a
Uh-huh.
job on campus. But anyway, I had such fun that summer, and I worked with these fun ladies who I think
Mhm.
at the time I thought were old,
Mhm.
but they were probably
Yeah.
younger than we are now.
Yeah,
You know.
definitely, definitely,
But
yeah.
those ladies knew every trick, and we were cleaning the dorm rooms,
Uh-huh.
and they knew every trick in the book about like where you can just kick back and have a cigarette. And I'm not saying that this is what our lovely listener is doing, but
Right,
um,
right.
it was
Yeah.
a fun summer. We did our work, but we also knew
Sure.
the
You
good
worked
little
hard and you
hidey
played hard.
holes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I
Okay.
partied with
Yeah.
my buddies. Yeah,
Mhm. Okay. Okay,
yeah.
Gia.
Don't tell my parents about that summer.
Yeah. Well, boy, if they only knew all the shit that you've revealed here.
I know, it's really weird when looking back because I'm really quite the nerdy goody two shoes, and yet
Mhm. Mhm.
somehow when I
Yeah.
talk about anyway, yes,
Oh,
it's
dear.
been Facebook has been fun, and you probably didn't see it because I know you've been trying to not get headaches, but
Mhm.
I shared. I don't know how you say his name properly. Alan Serapa or something like that. Anyway,
Okay,
he has
uh-huh.
this column called Alan's Soapbox, and he
Mhm.
writes on the soaps all the time. And he did a
Mhm.
very incisive and thoughtful little article about, is it time for Sonny to go?
Hmm.
And he
Yeah.
just really put into words a lot of stuff I'd been trying to articulate, but I'm not that articulate. So, um,
You've articulated, I think, quite well your
oh, well,
feelings about
thanks.
Sunny. Yeah. But I don't know. I can't imagine General Hospital without Sunny, although I
I
do
can't either. I can't
realize that
either.
he may not be one of the characters. Like if he's not on an episode for a whole week, I don't know that I realize that necessarily, but I still am glad to see him, to be honest, every time I see him.
I'm very glad of how they are conveying him, like today. Like that,
Mhm.
I really
Mhm.
enjoy that. But I think I guess I'm not of the mind that I want him booted off there. I just wish they
Yeah.
hadn't. I wish they hadn't screwed him up by making him a casual killer.
Yeah, that
You
that
know,
the nonchalant killing of your boy Jagger.
yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
know it's not even because I'm the only one who misses Jagger, but
One of the
just
few. Mhm.
it's just kind of like they needed to make their mind up what
Yeah.
Sonny was.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
is he the
Mm.
sage old, guy who's been
Mhm.
around and seen
Mhm.
life on the street and can give
Mhm. Right.
calm advice, which is what we see now.
Yeah, he's
Um,
way more sort of what's the word? Introspective and,
yeah, yeah, calm and
yeah, yeah.
sage.
Yeah, and fair. He seems to be trying to be fair, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Sort of
not
like a
just vindictive.
Dante, you know?
Sort of like Dante used to be.
I
Yeah.
know. Well, it's funny, like, I was thinking today, watching and listening to Kristina and Michael, I was thinking, just the more Sonny mellows, the more his offspring seem to be, like, taking on his worst qualities.
Oh, yeah. That's
Not that
true.
Michael's a
Yeah.
biological son, but they've always sort of, I don't know if revere is the right word. I guess with Christina it might be, but they've always looked up to Sonny regardless of, how much they know about his business. And now it seems like maybe somehow they've absorbed his sort of way of
his
dealing with things, I guess, or
his,
his that
his
demeanor that
ethos,
he
his yeah.
yeah, like how sometimes it seems like it's justified to be cold or something like that.
Right, like, I mean, Kristina is now voicing this sort of, like, "But I did, execute a plan to murder Ava, but I tried to stop it, so it's
Right.
okay."
Right, right. Yeah, there's a lot. I think there's a lot to talk about there, maybe,
Oh my
because
gosh, yeah.
like her conversations, well, with Alexis for one, and when the conversation, I guess it was on Friday with Alexis, Lucky,
And
and
Lucky and
Kristina,
Kristina, yeah.
when they were sort of recounting everything for Alexis, who, man, Alexis seems like such a fuck up at this point, doesn't she?
Well,
Just
she seems like, I mean, I think to myself, if she hasn't had a drink yet, then she really is over the, like, alcohol problem because,
yeah, you hope.
she just seems like she could explode or implode at any,
Yeah,
like, she's just carrying the
definitely.
weight of this thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's twisting her um in bad ways. Yes, I
Bad
agree.
ways, yeah. I think she's lost her way, and she's kind of I think she's had to, like, sort of pivot so many times that she doesn't even know which way north is and which way south is, and right and wrong. I mean,
Yeah,
because
but I mean, of the three sitting there, do like, who does? I mean, who's the most in
Yeah,
the wrong in that situation? I mean, I think Christina's, like,
definitely, yeah.
completely out of touch with reality. She's kind of
Yeah.
forgiven herself for this.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, somehow, and especially because I guess they survived, and to her mind, that must mean that it wasn't even an act if nobody
yeah,
died.
yeah, they're gonna be okay. They're gonna be okay. That's what
Yeah.
Lucky kept saying too.
Yeah, Lucky sounded so sort of casual about everything too, and you almost got the feeling he's like a kid who thinks it's sorta cool to, like, keep a secret from the cops or something, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Did he just go into instant like Luke mode? Like, we'll stick it to the
Yeah.
man by not
Yeah,
telling him.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, and it's like,
yeah.
I think you guys are missing the point here, and I also thought that he was lucky Elizabeth didn't, like, just kick him right out, when he told her.
Oh yeah. Well, Elizabeth did touch on the point, but then
Right,
she
right.
backed off of it. Like, the point
Yeah.
is, what's to say that Christina won't try to kill Ava again, or anybody else for that matter, if she's not opposed to
Yeah.
killing somebody? You know,
Yeah, yeah, it would I mean,
to me, that's the
seriously,
point. Like,
that is
she,
the point.
she needs help, and she needs to be taken off the
Mhm, mhm.
street if she's
Yeah, yeah,
unstable to the point where she thinks it's okay to, cut
mhm.
somebody's brakes.
Yeah,
As
and
long as you call and let them know
y
that you cut their brakes.
that was such a ridiculous detail. And Lucky trying to use that too. It's like, "Come on, don't
Yeah,
you hear
yeah.
yourself?"
So, of when they had the conversation, I hear what you're saying about Alexis, but I still have such sympathy for her because I feel like she's, like, crazed herself with this need to
She's
kind of hold
absolutely
what
crazed.
remains of her family together.
Yeah, I
You think
think
about
yeah,
this blow coming after losing, um, what's her name
Sam.
there? Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, it's funny how you forget, but yeah, I
Yeah.
was thinking like, "Sam? Who's
Yeah,
Sam?"
Sam. Yeah, why is that so familiar? Um,
'Cause yeah, like when Elizabeth was saying, "Oh, she already lost Sam," and it's like, "Oh, yeah."
who? Oh, yeah.
You know?
But, so for Alexis seeing the 2 remaining daughters finally bonded again and,
Yeah, but
for her,
even
all
I
these other
know.
things are in there, and she's, like, dancing as hard as she can to, but yeah, but
Mhm.
she's totally in the wrong. Morally,
She's
it's like,
totally in the wrong, and
yeah.
I think yeah, she's so out of touch herself that like when they talk about how, when Alexis herself manipulated Kristina into staying quiet because she needed to think of her sister Molly. It's like,
Yeah,
seriously,
it's
you
all
know?
quite twisted logic, yeah.
Yeah, so twisted. And I know they don't know they're in a soap opera and they don't know the truth will always come out, but we do, we know it's all going to explode and any good intentions she might have had are going to seem so ridiculous. And then you have like it was so funny when Laura came in and she's like, "I have a question about
A
this
little I noticed a little
$10 million
yeah.
shortage." It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's, like,
and then
already coming back to bite her in the ass,
so
and
so hard in the
the
ass.
secretary, what the hell? What
What the hell? Yeah,
why are we having this who is this woman? Why why
I know. What
is
does she have on everybody? She's
yeah.
blackmailing somebody to get good lines.
Well, and she was so kind of bizarre today, like, in the past, they've
Yeah.
made her, like, kind of comic relief, but today she had this sort of ominous vibe, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "What's going on here?" And who does she know?
you know, she doesn't seem all that helpful, and I would think they would find someone like
Or
Diane
efficient.
wouldn't put up
Yeah.
with some person who's
Right.
just disrupting things.
Yeah, yeah, and, takes 2 hours to find a bag of tea or whatever it is, and,
Yeah, yeah,
anyway, I thought that was kinda weird.
yeah.
Um,
So
and
Marco,
also
yeah, knows
w
that this whole thing is hinky too.
also wonder why Alexis, like, they'd have to have a cover story for what's going on, so you'd think
Mhm.
Alexis and Rick and Ava would have already come up with some, not make it look so terribly obvious, like, they know Laura or somebody will be looking at this at some point.
Yeah, I bet Rick probably that crossed his mind, but he like, "Well, I'm not gonna have to fucking deal with it. It's gonna be Alexis
Yeah,
who's gonna be
right.
caught."
Yeah,
So
maybe,
and
yeah.
she must not have really understood it well enough to know that somebody else might look at this information. But
Yeah,
yeah,
anyway, it's poor Alexis, she's just she's
yeah.
she's drowning. She's
It
drowning in all this.
She is. She's kinda like, because 'cause I'm feeling like, the more deeply she's burying herself, the more contempt she has for Christina because she set all this
Yes,
in motion,
yes, yeah,
and it's
and
kind sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that Christina kinda reminds me of Lulu in a way in that, like, she's just,
Mhm.
like, sort of oblivious of
Yeah, yeah.
what she's done, like, she's just cruising around town visiting and, you know
Giving Michael advice? I mean,
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh my
it's
god,
she
you are."
seems quite out of touch with
Mhm.
reality, and Lulu to me also feels a little that way. Um,
Definitely, definitely, yeah, I was gonna say similarly, on the
nice,
Alexis side.
nice. I like that, like, use of similarly.
Thank
Okay,
you.
go carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, happy to pause for a compliment,
A
especially when it has to
beautiful
do with
use of an adverb.
adverbs.
Yeah.
Adverb shout out.
Woot woot.
We should have sound effects.
Every time you use an adverb with
Oh
style.
god.
Yeah.
Um Alexis and Curtis, I think, have something in common because he's also sort of a witness to a train wreck that he's trying to figure out how to manage, you know, and he
And it's
can't
making
hide
him
his
very
contempt for
cold.
Portia,
Right,
yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. So
She
there's
had
a
a
lot of
little
that
bit of
going around.
backbone with him though, which I was
She's
like,
like, "Yeah,
that's
I
the
know, I'm frustrated too."
yeah, that's the only way I think this might, um
Yeah.
can this marriage be saved? Remember those little
Mhm.
articles? Can
I
this
do.
marriage be
Mhm.
saved? Is if she's just like balls to the wall, honest all the
Mhm.
time with
Mhm.
everything that she's feeling and what's going
Yeah.
on, and like, yes,
Yeah.
I did this.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
want to say something about it? Go
Right.
ahead.
Right,
Like
right, yeah, that would be easier to take, yeah, and I was surprised, and I thought it was maybe a missed, I don't know, laziness maybe on the writer's part when she told him about the ketamine piece of it, and he didn't really seem
Yeah, he
anymore
didn't seem to. Yeah, that didn't.
upset than he was before, you know?
Yeah, yeah. To me, that's sort of crossing a line, drugging somebody. Like,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
think so, especially from a doctor, you know,
yeah,
doing that, you know?
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's like maybe once you've had 3 strikes, the 4th strike isn't that big a deal.
Maybe not, or maybe we just know less about ketamine or something. Maybe that's like, maybe Curtis is like, oh yeah, I used to do ketamine all the time. It's fun. I don't know.
Fun. You didn't think to save some for me, Portia,
Yeah,
or
ketamine.
Trina?
Um,
Maybe Trina and Kai would like some, Portia?
um, okay, and we're dancing all around the bigger storyline, which is of course the
Yeah. Yeah,
Geo Brooklyn was, but
the
the
noisy
really
story.
noisy one, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I think the fact that you've had a headache for 2 weeks sort of like
Colors my
s colors it, yeah,
reaction.
like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because your
Mhm.
reaction is all to the volume of the
It
storyline.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Mhm.
But just to I wish I had a word like similarly. Let me try to think.
Well, go back to Lulu. We were talking
Conversely,
about
not conversely.
Lulu,
Oh, well, I wanted to pivot to
okay.
back to Lucky and Elizabeth because that's kind of
Okay, okay.
connected to that before we
Yeah.
jump to Lulu.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead, Gia.
Um,
The floor is
well, what do
yours.
you think's going on there?
Lucky and Elizabeth?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it seems like everybody has said the right words at this point, right? For them to be giving it a go,
right. And she
right?
found the box. It looks like a ring.
Right, right. And Lucky seems to have told her more or less the truth about the Kristina thing,
Right.
right? Does he know does he know that Alexis is being blackmailed? He does, right?
I think so. Yeah, because she
Yeah,
told
yeah,
Kristina.
yeah.
So yeah.
And yeah, but he didn't tell that part to Elizabeth, and I'm not sure that's his story to tell, which is a line everybody
Wouldn't
uses.
stop Lulu. Now I know we don't like it when reality kind of like steps into our little play world, but
We don't.
I have seen headlines that Elizabeth is in contract negotiations right now.
Really?
Yeah, and
Mm.
ooh, that was why apparently she's been like, I don't understand how this is related, but people said, oh, that's why she's been in this cast for so long, and that's why she wasn't part of the nurses' ball. And I don't understand how that relates.
Do you have
Like,
to pay her more if she's mobile?
I don't know. Like, maybe that's just like a way to sideline her from bigger scenes or something. I'm not
That
sure.
doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, if
Huh.
anybody gets that, you can let me know.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, that has kind of colored my ideas about where they might be going with this plot.
Ah, uh-huh.
Like some people are saying, oh, they're going to have them like ride off into the sunset together,
Mm.
get married, but leave.
Hmm.
Um,
Mm.
like people don't think that the actor playing Lucky is really wanting to stay for the
For
duration.
the
Like
long
maybe
haul,
he's,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think that they would be foolish to let Elizabeth go
I do too.
myself.
She's one of the pillars, and we need younger pillars because we don't have as
Right.
many of the older pillars anymore.
Right. And even the one like Laura, like she would
Mhm.
very easily be a wonderful like sort of Laura figure.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, like,
Um
imagine if she and Maxie became, like, 2 of the, like, solid female characters on the show.
the women of
Mhm.
Port Charles, yeah. Um So I don't know, but I did wonder because it's like, man, they do,
Mhm.
you know, people and other people pointed out that like people are recovering from massive brain tumors and surgeries and stuff, and Elizabeth has
Mhm.
been stuck in this cast for like a year now, or it seems like. So it
I
does
know,
seem a
that's
little
true.
weird,
That is true, yeah. Yeah,
like
Kai's doing it.
Kai's already doing it. Curtis like had a full paralysis, and then within a week he was,
Yeah,
you know,
he's fine.
back in the tiny
Mhm.
boxing ring. And anyway, I'm
Back at
concerned about
Lola's.
this. I'm
Yeah, me
concerned about
too.
this.
Because yeah, I'm not sure they appreciate the value of some of our, legacy because I'm gonna call Elizabeth one of the legacy characters
Yeah, I
now.
mean, she's been on since she was what, like
She
16 years
she was
old or
quite
something.
yeah,
Mm.
and she really has been such a good character, especially, like, she's a great mom. She's great with so many different characters and so many
She
different sort of
actually works
roles.
at the hospital, and so
If they don't
it's
have
supposed to be a
her.
medical drama. They don't have a hell of a lot of people that do work at that hospital
I
anymore.
know, I know. I still wish they would revisit the idea of making it a true medical drama,
Yeah, really.
you know?
We'd enjoy that,
We so
with our
much.
background, with our medical background.
With our background, yeah, because I feel like I'm getting rusty. I'm not able to use that terminology as comfortably as
I know,
you know?
seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Lavage.
yeah, I
Mhm.
got lavage. I'm a little worried about that, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
also I do feel like you said, Elizabeth, like she she was upset when Lucky told her about how he'd covered up for Kristina,
Mhm,
but not for
mhm.
very long. Like, okay, I
Yeah.
guess I see what you're saying, you know.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
is that realistic? I don't know.
I know, 'cause she sorta laid out the whole, "Well, Alexis already lost Sam," and, like, she sort of made it all, like, okay as part of that equation, separate from, like,
Yeah,
the law.
the
And,
law,
you know
and just the fact that the danger of, um, Christina being unstable enough to try something again.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally, yeah, yeah.
and another thing that I think they are doing wrong is,
Mhm.
why do we keep getting the sense that Elizabeth is leaving the door open for Rick?
I know, I don't understand I don't like that either, because that seems like that's kind of a shitty move to sort of lead him on, I think,
Yeah, and
number
it's
1.
why, where is, what's the attraction? Like
Yeah,
there
yeah.
shouldn't be any.
No, there shouldn't be any, and if she's accepting beverages and stuff and just sort of like yeah, she's totally l
She's dropped a
acting
few
like
comments here and there that like make it seem like, oh, Rick is still, got something that she
yeah,
likes. And it's like,
yeah,
oh,
right. I don't see how she could be saying the things she says about Lucky and then at the
and
same
then
time
yeah,
be
yeah,
entertaining Rick at all. Yeah, that seems
yeah.
shitty. That
So
not very, like, true to her character, I
not
don't
true to your
think.
character exactly, yeah. Like she doesn't seem like the kind of person whose head would be turned by Rick being
Yeah.
uh wealthy and having a fancy car and being a hot
Right,
lawyer. Like
right,
that doesn't
right.
seem like
Yeah.
her deal.
Yeah, and it
Um
right, and also it doesn't seem like her deal to have, like, him as a backup, like, if she's thinking Lucky's gonna leave, then she's still got Rick in
yeah,
the wings,
right.
that seems sort of
Yeah.
shitty, unlike her also, so
So get it together, writers. That's
yeah, come on, try harder.
yeah, try harder. Okay. Okay, now we can move to whatever other
Okay, the
s-
noisy plot.
the noisier plot. Okay.
Yeah, okay,
What do you
well,
got? Hit
what
us.
do I have? Okay, I'm not sure where to start, but how about we go to was this today maybe? We had Rocco, Lulu, and Dante.
Yeah, that was today, I believe, all
Okay.
today. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
I uh I I didn't want Lulu to open her mouth, you know?
Ever again?
Ever again. Nope. I and Rocco, I guess he seemed sort of overly emotive and frustrated and angry about everything, I thought, for someone who's typically, sort of mute.
Yeah,
Uh,
and most teenage boys would well, they might like cause a scene and throw something and then slam the door and shut themselves in the room, something like that. But
mhm.
yeah, all the verbal emotive
Y
stuff, it
yeah.
seemed.
I
out of
wasn't and
yeah.
I guess basically he was just a vehicle for getting the whole, like, story out, he wasn't
Right, yeah,
behaving as
yeah,
himself, just as, like, a tool to get
yeah,
Dante and Lulu to explain what had happened. So
right.
that wasn't great a great use of that person, I don't think.
Did you want to hit Lulu when she,
Yes.
implied that Brooklyn we're still not clear about what Brooklyn knew and when. It's like, "Yes, we
I
are.
did.
Yes, we are."
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think Dante could have, like,
He
maybe he's
could have
trying to be
spoken up
civilized.
then,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely he could have said,
and said,
you
"As far
know
as we know, Brooklyn didn't know anything about
yeah, yeah,
the GOPs." Yeah,
mhm,
but
yeah. So that was lame, I thought, that
quite
she was
lame.
allowed to get away with that line,
Yeah,
you
so
know?
I think she's still holding
Still
on to her sort of self-righteous,
yeah, yeah.
and that's when I had to speak up. Like, "No, no, you
The
didn't."
lies, yeah, she kept talking about the
Yeah,
lies, and it's like,
yeah.
well, not really lies, Lulu. Brooklyn choosing not to say something isn't the same thing as lying,
Yeah, and even if
really.
they were lies, they weren't your lies. They were
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
I don't know. Still just she's still just hanging on to this idea that she was quite in the right
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
like,
set all
if
this
it
in
hadn't
motion.
been for
Yeah,
her, this lie would have gone on
yeah.
forever.
I can't wait to hear the conversation between she and Laura.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah, I
because
hope.
Laura came to the door at the end, and
Yeah,
Lulu kind of did this like sad face, like she needed a
yeah,
hug from her mommy,
right,
and I'm hoping her
exactly.
mommy gives her like a
Yeah.
smack upside the head.
Can of whoop ass, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Not
especially
that
because
I'm
Laura wa
for hitting your children, because I'm not.
but in this case, go for it, Laura, um, spank her, um, but she also Laura got sort of, blindsided by this information by our,
Yeah, was that realistic that she wouldn't
sassy.
have heard something about
I
it?
was
But it
wondering that
maybe.
too. I was thinking that, well, sometimes she does seem to be, like, MIA during crucial events, you know?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess she might have been just doing paperwork for the city and not yeah, not read any headlines about
Or
the scuttlebutt
not
at the
seen the
nurse's ball,
nurse's
but
ball.
yeah.
It seems like she would have been tracking the nurse's ball, doesn't it?
It
I don't
seems
know.
like it, but maybe that was on the
Yeah.
society page and she just didn't
But,
have time to
so
get
many
there.
people were watching it at home, or could
Right,
have,
yeah.
or seen, like, the little viral clips and stuff. It seems like, yeah, it was a bit of a stretch that she hadn't heard about it until that
Yeah.
moment, but whatever. Yeah, so, yeah, hopefully she'll school Lulu a little bit. Um I think one of the things that's aggravating so far about this, like, the way this is playing out is that we've had multiple scenes with, like, Brooklyn and Lois, and then we had Brooklyn, Lois, and Gloria, and it feels like I don't need to hear the same yelling over and over again, you
It's
know?
too loud. You
It's
haven't told them
too
about your
loud.
we need to write in and we have like a write-in campaign about, "Well,
Yeah.
some of our viewers have migraines and you need to lower the volume."
Please, or at least don't even bring Gloria back.
I know I saw her
That would
coming, I
help
was like,
also. I was like,
"Oh,
"Oh,
crap."
fuck."
Yeah.
Yeah, you know? But I would have preferred, like, maybe to break it up a little bit, like another scene, let's say, with Brooklyn and Chase to see, like, what they would be talking about at this point
Yeah,
now that so
right.
much has happened, you know?
Yeah, like,
Um
would he just be listening or would he be trying to defend Lois's actions in any way, or would he just be neutral, or
Right, and maybe
would
it'd
he
help
be attacking
Brooklyn
Lois with
right,
Brooklyn? Or
right, right.
yeah.
I kind of feel like if she could talk to him, she could maybe get to the point where she kind of understands Lois's point of view, and maybe that wouldn't happen so quickly, especially if Geo isn't gonna give her the time of day. She's,
It's yeah, everybody needs to, like, take about, 10 deep breaths and,
yeah,
let a
yeah,
few days go by, and it's very
yeah,
hard to,
mhm,
when you think about emotional things happening, like anything
mhm.
emotional,
Yeah, yeah,
a
it's
a
not like
death
it's
or
gonna be
whatever, it's like it takes
right.
for things to settle, for you to not be
Mhm.
acting out of emotion. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, the yelling is, I didn't have a headache, but they were kind of yelling a lot. But I liked that Lois and Gloria, by extension, did
Yeah.
not renege on, saying we did what we thought was best. They were like, yeah,
Right, right,
it was
right.
like,
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, and they weren't like, trying to stick a knife in her and dig it around. They were
Mhm.
just like, no,
Mhm.
like this, we really thought this was best, and I like
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
stuck to their
Mhm.
guns on that.
Yeah, and
Um,
I still have a hard time disagreeing.
I do too. I
I'm
mean, I see
you know
everybody's pain on all sides, but
Yeah, yeah, and I guess the sticking point is, like, what happened when Camilla died, he's
I even
12.
get how I even get the
Yeah,
logic then of like somebody's mother just died and then you're going to hit them with this other like massively
yeah.
life-changing information.
Right, right, but yeah, they still had, like, almost 10 years where they could have maybe sort of broached the subject. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, that I can understand how that part would be very painful for Brooklyn to believe that he was basically abandoned,
I wish we
think
could talk to Eric Clapton so badly and find out.
don't I'm not sure how much insight we would gain unless he
No, you
watches
don't think
too.
he's a
Uh
introspective,
Well, I
well-spoken
guess he
kind of guy?
is.
I don't
Maybe he
know.
is. I don't know either.
He's done a lot of stupid things for sure in his life
Yes,
too,
yes,
so
uh-huh, yeah. Um, and lost a child, right? Isn't his kid fall out
lost
of
the
a
child out of the window, yeah.
building? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
All
So
kinds
he
of
knows all about pain, yeah. Oh, I was gonna say about Gloria, I didn't like how she sort of, like, attacked Brooklyn initially, like, you
Oh,
know,
I kinda liked that because Brooklyn was getting hysterical, I felt like she needed to be.
well, when she said, "How do you think your mother felt when she has a teenage daughter coming home from camp pregnant?" It was like, well, I mean, I don't know. I we I don't think Lois. I kind of wanted Lois to say, "Ma, stop." It just felt like Gloria was being defensive and sort of attacking
Yeah,
her
but
as
I kinda liked it because I felt like Lois at that point was needing
well.
some defending. So I kinda
Mm,
like that it's like, "Hey, let's step back and take a look at all the players in this." And, so here's Lois
mm,
presented with this dilemma, which is kind of a huge blow to her too. I mean, right? Brooklyn's the biggest actor, the biggest one who like it's all
mhm,
happening to, and it's
mhm.
she's the most important player in it. But
Mhm.
it's a huge thing in Lois's life too, and so like maybe have a little tiny sympathy or empathy looking back at your mother who's scrambling to do the best she can under
Yeah,
the
I guess it was just
circumstances.
like yeah, I know. I just feel like Gloria was just being a little too, I don't
Gloria is
know, rough.
abrasive, that's for
She is a
sure.
Yeah, I guess that's it. She is abrasive. Yeah, like she could have said, just like Lois was trying to take care of you, I was trying to take care of Lois, something like a little more
Right, yeah.
gentle, but that's not her way, I guess. So,
If you, like,
yeah.
compare the parallel conversation that, Sonny and Gio were having and
Mhm.
think of the volume of that and Sonny's,
Mhm.
like, kind of laid back demeanor about it all
Yeah,
and
that was so
and
much nicer.
but you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
think he got Gio to think a little bit outside of himself,
Mhm. Mhm.
without like being abrasive and without saying, "Hey, you're not the only one that,"
Yeah, yeah.
like
Mhm.
it was just
Mhm.
like yeah, like, yep, it's going to take some time and it's going to,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
the volume, everybody wasn't at a fever pitch.
Right,
Um
right. Yeah, yeah.
and saying things just in
Mhm.
total flaming anger.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I think also I needed, like, a little I needed Brooklyn to sorta stop and instead of just completely reacting over and over again, I wanted her to sorta do a little more thinking, and she couldn't in those all those, like, debates, you know?
Right, right. She's just hurt and angry,
Yeah. Yeah.
justifiably.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't you can't think clearly when you're that emotional. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Just like
Mhm.
I couldn't open my locker in high school when I couldn't remember it, and then I'd go into a panic, and then you
Yeah.
really can't think straight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
nobody's thinking straight there. And
Nobody. Right, right.
I
Yeah,
also
they're all
read that
afraid of what they're
Lois is.
losing. Sorry, go ahead.
I also read that Lois is going to be off for a while.
Mhm,
So I
m'kay.
think this will just be another like she'll go back to Bensonhurst for a while and
Mhm,
lick her
mhm.
wounds.
Well, that kinda makes sense, I think.
Yeah, hopefully she'll take Gloria with her.
Yeah, hopefully, God,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
Please,
mm. But
please.
yeah, I think that Brook Lynn will probably eventually come around. Like
Mhm.
even if you don't agree with what Lois and Gloria did,
Yeah.
just seeing that they were not acting out of some malicious intent or
No.
any intent to ever hurt any of
Right,
the people
right.
involved. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it kinda made me think that, let's say, a viewer at home was watching and they had a pregnant teen all of a sudden. They'd be starting to think, "Okay, do we have a Camilla we could have take the child?"
oh, like, yeah.
So we know that they're safe and we could see them if we want to, but we don't have you know what I mean?
Well,
Because
I mean, there's some
there's a lot of
logic.
good points
There's
to
some
that.
logic in that, right? Yeah, like a family member that you know and
Mhm.
trust and
Yeah, I mean,
right,
it's
can keep an
and
eye
there's
on. You feel like, yeah,
in the adoption foster care world, there's the kinship, model, which is when a family member, like a grandparent, takes a kid and, they can get support and stuff like that from the state. So it obviously makes more sense in a way than a complete stranger or strangers, you know?
and there's something about that blood bond that like
Mhm.
maybe means that they're gonna do a better job, like be more attached or something. Like
Invested, yeah, maybe feel
invested,
yeah,
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 in
uh-huh.
raising that
So
child.
right, so on the it's kinda seems like, yeah, why isn't that the model more than, you know,
Yeah,
the other
I mean, what do
kind?
you think? What if Lois had told
Mhm,
Brooklyn that this was an
mhm.
idea and tried to sell her on this
Yeah.
idea rather than, would that have been acceptable? Was it just that it was kept from her?
I think, yeah, maybe she would have been okay with that. Yeah, I would think. I mean, because it still solves the problem of her not being ready to take care of a child, right? That
Yeah,
was her
yeah,
biggest fear, I think, that she couldn't do it, yeah, why not be open about that, I guess?
yeah.
I g
Well, because
although then
we
you
wouldn't have
then
this massive storyline if we didn't.
no, we wouldn't, would we? And then we'd have to like, then Dante, the question of telling him would come up and all that. It would be harder to keep a secret, I guess, from him if that was still part of their
Yeah, and then
plan,
I
you
mean,
know?
there's that like age old question of should the father be told or should he be kept?
Yeah,
Which we can
yeah.
just go round and round, and I can't ever.
Mhm,
One day I'll think one thing, and the next day I'll think the other
mhm.
thing.
Yeah, and would Camilla have been okay with the idea that,
Right,
others
right.
might wanna participate,
Yeah.
the
Mm.
upbringing? I don't know. I don't know. Mm.
Anyway, it was all painful today.
It was all painful,
It
yeah.
was all kind of painful,
Yeah.
except I did feel like there was some growth in Gio's sort of acceptance. Like he went from being
Mhm.
totally flipped, and now he's
Mhm.
now he's like able to listen a little bit.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, because I think him realizing that people like Sonny, like this wasn't a lie everybody was keeping from him,
Yeah,
you
right,
know,
right.
and
Yeah.
also that Sonny basically loved him and cared for him the same way, not knowing they were blood relatives as he would have if he did know, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
right. Yeah.
I
That
think
it
that
wasn't
was
like a conspiracy in the whole family.
right, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. And also I think Emma once again, she's doing a nice job of quietly supporting him, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, she got in his face a little bit about you're telling me that that wasn't a real love that your mother had for,
Exactly,
you know.
exactly. But yeah, it wasn't like she wasn't yelling.
Yeah, she
She just didn't let him get away with anything that was, you know, just not fair to himself or anybody else,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
the like histrionics that yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, everybody just needs a little time, a little
A
like
little
let
time,
the
yeah.
volume come down a little bit,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, but I also would like as you know, I love a good, like, when they pair up people, you know, who aren't necessarily, like, the people that we see together all the time, but I would love to see sort of like Brook Lynn, let's say, talking to Cody or something, you know, and hear Cody trying to defend Lulu or not to Brook Lynn and see, you know, although Brook Lynn seemed like she's not necessarily gunning for Lulu, is she? You know, she's like, "I
No,
didn't
she
expect
kinda
anything from her,"
yeah,
you
she
know?
was, kinda like Lulu's always hated me
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I do think they probably will have a confrontation,
Probably,
maybe
yeah.
this week, and that I'm guessing that you might wanna turn your volume down
I might
again.
have to mute the television and just have the
Yeah,
subtitles tell me what's going on.
yeah. I just, like, are we ever gonna have a moment where Lulu kind of there's a realization of how much
Yeah.
destruction she caused?
I don't
Um,
know. We haven't come really close yet, I don't think.
no. I mean, she's sad that all this happened, and she is somewhat sad that Geo's world was shattered, but she's not
Mhm.
bringing it
Mhm.
back around to anything she's done. She's
No,
like,
no.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't
She's
know.
almost like, you know, it doesn't really matter how the truth came out, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's all gonna
Maybe
be fine in the long run, you know?
maybe her mother will be able to
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Carly has tried a few times to
Mhm. Mhm.
point out like, "Hey, not
Yeah.
your business and you're going to get flattened in this." And
Flattened. Yep.
yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
Dante's still there at her house even though
I
he
know what
seems
was did he
yeah.
had he come through a door or was he
I
does
don't
he
know.
just
She
lurk
doesn't
in the
ever
shadows?
yeah, I don't know. It's like I guess they have a relationship where he just walks in,
I I guess.
which
Yeah.
seems a little weird, but
It does seem weird. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not liking him any better lately either, and I
No.
know we should be
No.
allowed to let people have their emotions, and,
Right, right.
but
We're
we're
trying, but
trying, but
please don't
just
let's
not
not
a
lose the good Dante in all of this.
yeah, it's not a good look on him right now.
No, it's really not, and I don't know how he's gonna win Geo over because he is being still a dink, so,
Maybe he'd win
um,
him over by continuing to be a dink, so it's like
maybe Geo would think
nothing's
yeah.
changing just 'cause of biology, like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
and, you
know.
know, when Gio is talking with Emma about all these people that are suddenly his family, like Ned, you know, he's like, you know, we talked about music a little bit, but that's about it. I thought that was sad to me because I thought, yeah, now Ned is gonna really lean in and wanna be involved, and
Right,
it's gonna
right.
be like, "Well, who the
Yeah.
fuck was I to you before?" You know?
Before, right, yeah, if everybody sucks up to him and tries to, like,
Yeah,
make him
you
a
know?
buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that seems like a
yeah.
shame because I wish Ned had been more involved with him before, but you know, you can kinda understand why he wouldn't have been, I guess,
Why
you
would he
know?
have? Yeah,
It
yeah,
might have been weird to
but
have this older guy, like, trying to hang out with you, you know?
that is always a little bit creepy, I think.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
gotta be careful.
I know.
Yeah, okay, so we have one more, the other storyline that's sort of pending now is the, custody battle.
Right, Michael and Willow and,
Yeah, mhm.
yeah, and now we've got, Michael. like I don't think he was talking before about completely taking the children away from Willow, but that's
Right,
where he
right.
is now.
Now
Like,
he's turned
and
into that.
I think they listened to our podcast a little bit because somebody pointed out, was it Kristina, that we had a Shiloh kind of a
Yeah,
connection, like
yeah,
she was
yeah.
being
Uh-huh.
controlled by
Mhm.
him or
Mhm.
obsessed with him like she was with
Mhm.
Shiloh, and it's like,
Right,
yeah,
right.
we'd already pointed that out a little bit ago.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I
So
think
yeah,
actually, yeah, Michael, like the old Michael said something along those lines.
did
Although
he? What? It
it
wasn't
felt
us.
like it
That's
was
too
all
bad.
well, it felt like it was also after we had talked about it.
Oh, okay, good. Oh,
I think we could still take credit.
oh, good. Okay, I like credit for something. Something.
Something. Yeah, yeah, but so we don't know if Nina's gonna use her information about, the father of Sasha's child.
Right, right. Yeah, so
She was
she's got the
debating that with
dilemma, yeah.
Ava, and now Ava knows that, and I guess Ava is capable of keeping a secret.
Yeah, unless it's
Um
useful to her in some way, and that's
Right,
sorta
right, and
not
you
on
never
her
know.
that's not on her
Um,
bingo card really to, like,
eh, she could use
what
it
could
sort of
she have
against
us for?
she if Kristina is still an enemy of hers and Michael is related to Kristina. I mean, it's a
Oh, that's
long
true,
shot,
yeah,
but,
it's a long shot, but yeah, that's true.
hmm.
Um, but yeah,
And to
I
help
still
Rick,
think
if she really wanted to help Rick, I guess.
right, that's true, yeah. But I think she and Rick are gonna turn on each other because Rick's still mooning around,
For
um,
Elizabeth, yeah,
Elizabeth and didn't
yeah.
reveal where he had been when
Mhm,
they came
mhm,
into wherever,
mhm.
Nina's office or something,
Yeah, yeah.
and she was like, "Why, how are you here so quickly?" And he lied. It's like,
Uh-huh,
aha, that's a bad
uh-huh.
sign for their
Yeah,
little
yeah,
tryst if he's already lying
yeah.
about.
She can't have any illusions about him, though, I wouldn't think. I don't know.
I wouldn't think so, but
I guess
yeah, but
everybody wants to believe that they're the one that is
yeah,
the
but
center of the attention.
his obsession with Snow White over there is
Yeah.
a thorn in
Mhm.
her side for sure. Because you
Elizabeth would
couldn't.
make a good Snow White.
She'd be perfect, wouldn't she? Her complexion, her hair, everything.
Yeah, yeah, everything,
Uh,
yeah.
but she's like the antithesis of Ava, so that's like
Mhm,
really got to
mhm.
stick in Ava's craw.
Yeah, true,
That's who he's
true.
like in love
Yep.
with his whole life.
Right, right, yeah.
But he'll
Yeah,
do her.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very annoying.
Uh-huh,
Um.
very.
Anyway, yeah, I still feel like we're gonna have an is it the word apex? Is it we're gonna have a
Um,
climax or something where Nina
uh-huh, uh-huh.
will have to decide between using her information
Yeah,
about
yeah.
her sleeping with Drew,
Mhm,
or
mhm.
the Michael Sasha baby thing.
Right, right, and is that gonna happen, like, when she sees, I guess, how she thinks the hearing is going, maybe? If she thinks it's going badly, she'll decide which card to use?
Yeah, and I feel like I'm rooting for Nina's personal growth, and so I want her to
Yeah.
reveal that she slept with Drew,
Mhm.
even though that puts her in a bad light with her daughter.
Right, right.
But I want her to, I want us to feel like we can
Mhm.
still love Nina because
Yeah, yeah.
she'll do something even though she knows it's going to hurt her herself,
Mhm.
just to
Mhm.
sit to save her daughter.
Yeah.
Like that she'll have that selflessness. I mean, it's
Mhm.
also convoluted now. Like, how does that save her? If she just still needs to
Yeah.
try and get her daughter to see that Drew is a bad player.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think she's right that obviously, if Willow got full custody, they would disappear. They would go to Washington
Right,
because
right,
he knows everybody else is trying to wake Willow up.
right, exactly. So, just like an abuser, he needs to get
Yeah,
her isolated.
yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Um. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm rooting for Nina to reveal that and
Mm.
have
Yeah.
Willow turn against her initially, but ultimately, um,
Yeah.
see that, and then the next secret could come out that Drew was the one that kept
That kept
her
Michael from
Michael,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
between her
right,
and Jeremy
exactly.
and
Yeah,
Baden
that
Baden.
Baden, yeah,
Baden
that would
Baden.
be a nice little finishing punch, I think, if that
Yeah, and a
if
close up
yeah.
on Willow's face when all that stuff comes out. Yeah,
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 her
right.
fragile little face. Yep.
Delicate, yeah. Mhm.
Yep. And then, she's going to need some serious therapy to be like, why am I
Why?
attracted to this kind of a guy?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah, and can she be on her own? Can she,
Yeah,
function? Just
yeah, I don't see her getting back with Michael. I don't even want her
right.
to,
No,
but
and I think
uh,
he's past that too at this
yeah, yeah.
mhm.
But I want her to have to look at, like, why did I blow up my life?
Right,
Because she
right.
did it, she blew it up.
Mhm. That's true, yeah, yes,
Ah,
she,
did you get your wings?
I got my wings, thank God,
Yay.
finally, yeah, yeah,
Rip.
but yeah, she allowed Drew when she was fairly content on the surface, at least,
Right. Yeah,
we believed.
they both talk, she and Michael both talk like, "Oh, there were problems." Like, I don't think there were.
No, it didn't seem like at that point there were really,
I think
'cause
they've sort of retrofitted themselves with
they
some problems, but
yeah, yeah, via the writers, yeah,
yeah.
because, yeah, Drew was totally insinuating himself into her life and creating situations where he could spend time with her, and pull
Yep.
her away from Michael, so let's not
Yep.
forget that, people, okay? We haven't.
No, we have not. Yeah.
No.
And new Michael, yeah,
Mhm.
this guy's got more of a dark side closer to the
Yeah.
surface that we're going to get to
Mhm.
see,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
think.
Yeah.
Do you
I
think he and Sasha have a chance to get
I
together?
think possibly. Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out, I guess.
Sasha's
Um
looking at this guy like she never looked at the other Michael, I think.
I think that's true. I think you're right. Yeah. We thought that she and Jason might turn into something, but that's not really looking like
No,
something
no,
anybody else has
no.
on their agenda.
And he's
Yeah.
really too old for her, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Just like Drew seems way too old for Willow.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
Although I still think it might be nice if maybe they let him have Wiley and then he could just move to
Oh,
Washington.
come on. Poor Wiley.
Strike a deal.
But yeah, he seems like an old piece of leather when whenever they have a scene close up to
Yeah.
her little Snow White face,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, how is she not noticing?" I mean,
Right.
he's a fantastic looking man, and he looks, I don't know how old he actually is, but
Yeah.
he's clearly a lot older than her. His character
Mhm.
is, and
Mhm.
the real person
Mhm.
is. And
Mhm. Yeah.
speaking of which, speaking of leather, did I tell you I got sucked into buying myself another, like, fancy anti-wrinkle cream?
You got
Ah,
suckered into it?
by my own brain. Just I held it up at the store and I was
Okay.
like, "Okay, it promises to, like,
Uh-huh.
revitalize and rehydrate and take
Uh-huh.
7 years off." And then I put it on my face and it feels great going on. It's like a
Okay.
L'Oreal something or other,
Okay.
but
Uh-huh.
it makes my eyes smart.
Mhm.
It feels like I've covered my face in mud or something, like the skin can't
Okay.
breathe. I can't
Uh-huh.
bear to even have it on.
Really? Well, that if
And
that's not an infomercial, you should be on Home and Heart.
well, I still I still feel like it's my own failing as a woman. I feel like every other woman you see 'em in the ads, they're putting it on their face, and, like, I've got wrinkles aplenty, and then I thought, maybe I could just target one small portion of my face each
As
day
a
and not put it.
test spot.
Yeah, like,
How
just
about
I
you
could
just do,
bear it
like, the
on
right
this.
side of your face?
Yeah, or just, like, my neck and then leave that alone,
Mhm.
but it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
there's no way I put it on and at the start of the day, and it's like
Mhm.
9,000 degrees here, and it feels
Mhm.
like like cake icing trying to like melt down my face, you know.
Wow. Delicious.
So, and this, I think what's happening is I'm seeing a whole bunch of family in a few days, and
And
I
you
think
want
what was
to
happening is I thought, well, could I
pretend you're
get
someone
7 years
else.
off? Yeah, could I get 7 years off before this trip?
How about you wear a veil?
And that's the only thing that would have hope. So I wasted like $20.
Uh,
But
well, I don't know if this would help. I don't think so because it's
correct.
not. It also feels like something on your skin. But it's this Burt's Bees sunscreen for your face. It's like 30
Well,
SPF,
yeah.
and you might need that anyway. A sunscreen.
Oh well, I do wear sunscreen all the time.
Yeah.
My okay, here's my product recommendation for sunscreen.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Neutrogena Dry
Hmm.
Touch something or other. I
Yeah, I
forget what it's
gotta go
called.
with the cruelty-free products, though. That's why
Oh, is
we're
that
going
one not
Burt's Bees.
cruelty free?
No, I don't know if Neutrogena tests on
It
animals.
doesn't.
I Googled because I wanted to see because I like
Uh,
Neutrogena products, or I used to, but they're owned by Johnson and Johnson, and they test on animals.
and
So
they
I
put
guess
the mascara on the bunnies.
and the sunscreen apparently.
Oh, well, if Burt's Bees has one that says dry touch, because I think that's the secret
Mm,
to why it doesn't feel,
okay.
it feels light. Like I can put that on and go
Uh-huh.
out and it's not like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, it would feel
Okay.
better to have nothing, but,
Right, right. Yeah, you can try it when you're up here if you'd like.
all right, all righty.
Okay. You gotta
Like,
wait a
I know
little bit
you
though.
have, like, sun might be out, like, maybe one day or something.
Might be
Well,
for an hour. Yeah.
so there's our product recommendation
Yeah.
for the
I should
week.
get I'll get you the name of the Burt's Bees product to everybody in case anyone else is looking for a
I
sunscreen
haven't had
for
any
your
Burt's
face.
Bees for my mom and I used to buy each other Burt's Bees all the time, and we both
Mhm.
had piles of Burt's Bees because I thought she
Yeah.
liked it a lot and she thought I liked it a lot, and then
I know some of their products, yeah, I don't think they do any good, but, this does work as a sunscreen.
all right.
Yeah. But something about, that, like, the whiteness of sunscreens, how they have, like they give you sort of like a
Oh yeah, especially the
I don't know if
higher
it's
the
the
number.
zinc
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but somehow that seems to make your skin look smoother. I was gonna say that that might make you look a little younger.
Maybe just try some white paint, like a sort of a
Yeah. Yeah, like a
like a royalty back
gesso.
in the yeah yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
god.
so in honor of seeing a whole bunch of family, I basically I got a bad haircut, so I'm back to my uh,
So they're gonna think you're
like
like a boy
yeah,
with
like
a
I
very like
basically I
cake
it was like it looked
frosting.
like I said, "Can you make me look like Willie Ames?" You know, and then I think I put like 3 or 4 pounds on, and so it's all good. Like
How With a person who gave you your haircut, would they have remembered who Willie Ames
no, I
is?
think she was a couple years younger than me, so I didn't say that. I basically just said I needed a trim, and could you go ahead and like fix the layers a little bit because it was looking quite lank, and they really and you get your hair cut and you can't tell what's going on. Your head's all wet. You don't know what. I
Sure,
didn't go to
sure.
beauty school, obviously.
We visited plenty of times for cheap
We did,
haircuts, but
yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
But so and so my husband will be like, "Well, why didn't you say you didn't want?" I'm like, "I don't know what they're doing when they're doing it. I can't see what
I
they're
don't know
doing."
I don't know if anyone else has our problems when it comes to sitting in that chair.
Well, anyway, it's only hair, and it kind of doesn't matter when it's like 99% humidity. I'm gonna look
Yeah,
like Willie
yeah,
Ames no matter what you
no
do.
matter what,
But
yeah, mhm,
that's when I put my
yeah.
old ball cap on and get my weed whacker and
And
go.
then people
Nobody
people sort of
cares.
s people sort of try to sneak a peek at you under the ball cap. "Hey,
N-
hey, aren't you that boy from Eight is Enough?"
I wonder what happened to him. Oh, anyway.
Well, you can tell we've reached past the 55-minute mark.
Yeah,
This is
obviously. Sorry.
complete nonsense.
Okay. All right, we'll wrap it up. We
The
shall wrap it
takeaway
up.
here is, if you wanna, like, shed years from your face, white paint,
Yeah,
everyone.
I was gonna say, don't do what I'm doing. I don't know. You got any ideas? It's too late now.
Uh,
Anyway, well, we appreciate you listening, and we apologize for keeping
everything
you
else.
keeping you this long with very little
Yeah,
reward
very little
for it.
content, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Anyway, all right. Well, we'll talk in a few days.
Yeah, maybe we'll have do you think we'll have the outcome of the custody battle, or we're gonna have to wait till Monday for
I'm
that
guessing
probably?
that'll be a by Monday. They'll
Yeah,
probably do a
yeah,
cliffhanger Friday or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Still should
All
be
right.
some developments.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Gia.
Okay, you have a good one.
You too. Good night.
All right. See ya.
Bye.